Hey ladies and gentlemen, I'm making this video today. It's pretty much by request, but I'd also think that this is a very important story, especially in context with what's going on in the world today. The date is June 6th. It's 2:03 p.m. My name is Benjamin Szemkus. That is my real name. I'm a private citizen. And I'd like to tell you about the time I went to a NXIVM mixer and recruitment party. Now, this occurred back in 2007. The reason that I'm coming out with this now is just in May, mid-May, May 15th, is when I remembered all this stuff. It's when I recalled these memories. Now see, with what was going on in the newspaper with NXIVM, the sex cult, Allison Mack, Keith Rainier, I had to look into this a little bit more, and so I decided that I would start watching Smallville. Now, watching Smallville, I probably got about 2 episodes in, and I thought to myself, holy shit, I've watched this before somewhere. Now, Smallville being what it is, it's a WB show. It's a teens theme show. I think it's still being aired for some reason or another, which is kind of strange considering the circumstances as to the actor that was involved in it, one of the main actors being Allison Mack. Now, I'm recalling back, and I think, man, I've seen this dumb show before. Where have I seen it? And then it hits me. Back in 2007, when I was at Southern Connecticut State University, there was a strange party that I went to with my girlfriend at the time and one of her friends. Now, her friend was studying at the Yale Library, where she was approached by 3 blonde women. All of them dressed like they were going out to a club or something, but she was approached and she was invited to this party. They told her that it was a women's empowerment movement party. It was a good group to join, and that she should come check it out and bring a friend if she liked. Now, she immediately went to her friend, who I had been dating, and this is how I got invited to the party. So, we went down to this party. At first, it was just me, the 2 ladies I was with. We were all SCSU, Southern Connecticut State University students. I think there was maybe some UNH students. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on it. And then the rest of the students, I think, were all just Yale girls. And it was basically like a sorority party to start out with. They had some cocktails. I had been smoking cigarettes on their back deck. The apartment complex was in Hamden, Connecticut. Now, it was located right off of Skiff Street. It was right behind the Hamden Plaza, right off of Route 10. I think there's a Kohl's there or something like that. And there's also perhaps a Walmart. I'm not sure if that's still there at all. This is what I remember. So Skiff Street is kind of up a hill, and then the apartment complexes were right behind the Hamden Plaza. We're at the party. The party attendees were mostly Yale students, and the host was definitely a Yale. I think she was a grad student, perhaps. I'm not quite sure. To get excited, because I guess there was going to be special guests coming to the party. And I remember that the girls were specifically upset that one of the special guests, because they were all expecting Kristen Crook to come, but apparently they said that Kristen Crook wasn't a part of NXIVM, and so the guest was going to be Allison Mack, and then a special guest, Stormy Daniels. Who the hell is Stormy Daniels? That's what I ask. The host says Stormy Daniels is an adult film star. I say, oh, like a porn star. They say, no. You don't call her that when she's here. She's an adult film star. Okay, that's fine. We get through 2 episodes of Smallville, and that's when guests started showing up. Now, first of all, we have Allison Mack coming through the door with Keith Rainier. Keith Rainier, he's got a haircut. He looks like 1980s Tony Danza from Who's the Boss. He's got some just some regular kind of glasses. Overall, he just looked like a geeky dude. They had a baldish man with a little bit of a goatee. This guy was carrying around a clipboard with him. And Allison Mack, who was wearing a green overcoat, and then underneath she had a medium-length skirt, and then she had knee-high boots, and then she was wearing what looked like, I guess not a bustier. I'm trying to think of what you call those things, but it was just basically like it was a weird top. I mean, she basically was dressed like she was from a 1980s prison movie playing the warden, the sadistic warden or something like that. These people came in, and you know, it's a mixer. We're walking around. I'm talking to some of these people that are there. Some of the Yale girls that are there. And mind you, there's probably about 12 to 15 Yale girls, perhaps a UNH girl, and then the ladies that I brought. So it's about a baker's dozen. You got about 15 girls in the room. Then you have Mac and Rainier, and this bald guy with a clipboard. I'm talking with Keith for a second. We start talking about teleology because that was something I was studying at the time. Teleology is basically the idea of sending out a message, receiving that message or receiving that signal, and then the feedback that's involved, or the lack of feedback that's involved in between this transaction. Now, he gets into his whole idea about how he's training females to babysit children, that he's going to train the women to teach the children a multiple different languages. I think he mentioned 7 different languages that they were going to be learning all at once. And it seemed like a very interesting idea, although I kind of didn't care. Keith was kind of a lofty dude. He was very, very interested in himself, it seemed like, in what he had to say. And he was a little bit needy to talk to. You could tell when someone's a little bit needy and they want attention. They want some sort of reinforcement, like a positive reinforcement from the things he said. So I spoke with him for a little bit, and then decided to go back on the back porch for a cigarette. I had been doing that throughout the night, going on the back porch for smokes. So I'm on the back porch, and the sliding door opens up, and out comes this blonde girl with a big black bodyguard, and she introduces herself. She says her name is Stormy Daniels. Being an adult film star, she was pretty down to earth. I expected probably a more kind of princessy, bitchy person, but she was a down to earth. She was a bubbly, amiable person. She was nice, very approachable. You would never, ever think that she was a porn star. I mean, adult film star, I guess. So anyways, she's there. She introduces herself. I'm out on the back deck. I'm telling jokes to everybody. You know, just yasser bossing, just loosening up, whatever. Smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. Stormy's looking around in the room inside, and she sees all these girls running around, these sorority style girls, and says that she's nervous. She's very nervous. She's not used to the kind of atmosphere that was going on. I asked her if she wanted to smoke some weed, and she declined. She said no. That made, it'd make her all tired and goofy, and that her eyes would get puffy, and she'd lose her focus. And I bummed her a couple cigarettes, and we smoked some cigarettes together and talked. And then all of a sudden the sliding glass door opens up, and Allison Mack pokes her head out. She looks at Stormy and says, "We're about to start." And then Stormy walks inside, and then Mac looks at me and the bodyguard and says, "This is the girls' only part of the party." And then she slowly shuts the sliding door. And about 2 minutes goes by, and then the one other dude that was there, I think he was one of the boyfriends of one of the girls who lived there, he comes outside and he stands out on the deck with us, because he was probably kicked out because he wasn't allowed into the girls only part of the party. Now I'm kind of looking inside as I'm smoking cigarettes, and I see Mac walking around the room. When she called the girls together, she yells out, "All right, bitches!" Blah, 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 something or other to get them all together. And all these girls came up in front of her into the living room, and they're all on their knees, sitting prone in attention. And I'm looking at my girlfriend at the time, and she's sitting in a chair just kind of half paying attention, like, fuck this shit. I thought that was hilarious, because she's a badass. That's who she is. So this meeting, this talk goes on maybe about, I want to say 10 minutes, maybe a little over 10 minutes. And then they break up into groups, and a bunch of them go to the back rooms, because there was 2 bedrooms towards the back of the apartment, which was, one of the rooms was right across from the bathroom. I went to the bathroom once or twice, maybe looked inside of the room just a little bit. I didn't, there was people in all the different rooms, but they were definitely setting up at different computers that were throughout the apartment. There was a computer that was in the living room that was right next to the sliding glass door, and that was all next to a little bit of a kitchenette area. So the girls spend, I think, maybe about 2 minutes each on the computers. You can see them just kind of clicking away at different things, and the bald guy is there watching them with a clipboard, writing down notes. I don't know what was on the videos. I was told later that it was a bunch of snuff videos. My girlfriend at the time, she said she thought they were all fake, that they just looked fake. But you know what? We would watch a lot of horror movies together, so we're probably quick to call bullshit on a lot of stuff. Now we have Mac and Rainier there. Stormy Daniels is there. At this point, after she came back out on the deck, we had another cigarette, and then she kind of disappeared off because they were doing some other thing. This is only speculation right here. The reason I think that she was so nervous was, I think that was the night that she was getting branded, and they were using her as a demonstration model for the rest of the Yale girls to watch and participate. Now, as I came back in from a cigarette, I noticed that some other people had showed up to the party. Now I'm looking around, and this, they had already broken up the girls only part, and the lights kind of went down a little bit. They threw some music on, and the mixer got going. I'm looking around the room, and I see this guy. He's got kind of almost what I would call a Jew-fro, but yeah, just some little tight curly hair, just padded fluffy hair. He's got a gap tooth. He's wearing a tight white t-shirt, and he's got a little bead necklace, which I thought was just like a pull chain necklace or something like that, but I think that they were beads. And he introduces himself as James. Looking at pictures later on, I identified this man as James Alefantis. Now, mind you, all this Nexium stuff, when this started to break, and all this other stuff with how they had mentioned Pizzagate, I started looking at pictures of all these Nexium people and all these Pizzagate people. I'm looking at pictures of James Alefantis. I'm looking at pictures of Stormy Daniels. And I'm thinking, man, I've seen these people before. I look at pictures of Mac and Rainier. I'm like, hey, I feel like I've met these people before. But like I said, it wasn't until I watched Smallville mid-May that all came back to me. That I had this oh shit moment, and all these people were all around, and these memories all came back to me. Now, as I'm looking around the room, Alefantis is there. I have a quick conversation with him. He mentions he has a DC pizza restaurant in DC. So we start talking about pizza for a second. My part of the conversation was about how I don't like West Coast pizza. I think that when they make the dough of the pizza on the West Coast, it's different from the East Coast, and the reason is probably because of the pH of the water, and probably from the mineralization of the rocks, because you have a lot of different style rocks, old rocks on the East Coast, while I think on the West Coast the rocks are a lot newer, so there's a different mineralization going on. You get a different taste to the crust. The crust comes out differently in general from East to West Coast. It's an absolute difference. One of the things that James pointed out was when you're making the dough and you're putting the yeast together with the flour, that you want to add soda water to the mix, and when you cook the crust up with the soda water, it actually adds crispiness to the dough, to the crust. As we're talking, there's other people that are kind of filtering in, and I noticed a middle-aged man, dark circles around his eye. He almost looked Middle Eastern in a way, almost kind of Pakistani, but he has salt and pepper hair. He was dressed nicely. He had a kind of a 3-button golf shirt. There's a kind of a silky sheen to it. He had slacks, and he had probably, looked like maybe about $300-400 pair of shoes on. They're leather shoes. I think they were loafers, but don't quote me on that one. I wasn't quite sure. This man introduced himself as Eric Schneiderman. At first, when he came into the room, he sees all the Yale girls running around and just kind of doing their party thing. And he looks at that, and he sees me across the room, and immediately makes a beeline over to me, starts talking, chatting me up. He introduces himself. He says he's a state senator. I said, "Oh, you're a senator?" And he's like, No, I'm a state senator. That's a different thing. But he definitely identified himself as a New York state senator. We spoke for a minute. He said, "Oh, isn't this great? Look at this. Have you talked to Keith yet about the movement?" And I said, "Yeah, I talked to Keith. Yep." And we talked for a little bit. And he said, "Oh, we're doing some great things here, and we're building this movement." And I thought it was kind of strange that a state senator would be at this Yale party. But then again, when you're around Yale, when you're in the greater New Haven area, Hamden, wherever you're at, when you're dealing with these Yale parties or these parties in New Haven in general, you're bound to see some pretty weird stuff. So you pass this stuff off. You don't, this is 2007. I don't know who these people are. You pass this stuff up, and you don't think much about it. So, some more guests filter in. One of them was skinny guy. He's a nervous guy who talked really fast, had a deep New York accent. This guy introduces himself as Anthony Weiner. He points across the room at a Middle Eastern looking woman. Very tiny. She's a tiny woman. Very mystifying looking. Very mystifying look to this woman. And he says, "That's Uma. That's my wife." So I say hi to her. She's very mousy. She quietly says hi to me. I think she asked what I was doing there. I said I was here with my girlfriend. And that's about as far as our conversation had gone. I talked with Anthony Weiner for a moment. He had mentioned how he was into politics and how he had just come up from New York. Said there was a bunch of traffic on 95, that's why he was late. Uma seemed a little bit mad that he was late. She was there with a little bit of a female entourage. There was about 3 or 4 females that were with her that I noticed. Just some randoms, I assume. I don't know what their whole place was. And then I noticed that there was a mean librarian-looking woman who was mixing drinks. She was wearing a white t-shirt. It was rolled up maybe about 2-3 times around the sleeves, and then it was tied off on one end. And like I said, she looked like a mean librarian. And then looking at pictures of these NXIVM people, I was able to identify her as Nancy Salzman. Now Nancy was there. We talked for just a moment, just to kind of introduce. I don't remember really anything that she said. And then she asked if I had met the Bronfmans. The Bronfmans, by the way, were across the room sitting on a couch. One of them was writing something with a marker on a poster board. But it was Claire and Sarah Bronfman. At first I thought they were just some Yale students. They looked kind of like some dirty hippie liberals. And they were both wearing white t-shirts, oversized, XXX, big shirts. Really kind of strange look. I mean, it didn't make much sense to me, but you know what? When it comes to rich Yale kids, you never know. Who cares, you know? Whatever. I speak with them for a second. They don't seem at all interested in me, so I just figured that they were just, you know, either dirty hippie liberal girls or just some lesbians or something like that. They didn't feign any interest whatsoever in talking to me. Now, at this point, the party's going. I've been there maybe about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, something like that. My girlfriend at the time, she walks up and she hands me her keys, which usually means she wanted me to drive, probably because she wanted to drink a couple of beers or something like that. I remember asking, when I was talking to Eric Schneiderman, I remember asking him if he wanted to go smoke some weed with me because I was going out to the back porch to smoke some weed. He declined. He said, no, I don't think my constituents would be happy with that. But he did thank me. He was nice about it. It wasn't awkward or anything like that. That was all right. I went back out on the back porch and then talked with my ex-girlfriend, or my girlfriend at the time. And, you know, we were kind of gearing up. We were saying, you know, hey, this thing's all weird. I'm not, you know, I definitely wasn't selling any weed or getting along really well with any of the Yale girls or anything. And then these guests that are hanging out mixing, the state senator and all these other pizza restaurant owner from D.C., all these people. You know, we met them. We talked with them. That was it. After a while, I noticed that Keith, Allison Mack, Stormy Daniels, they weren't really anywhere to be seen. So I figured they were probably in the back bedroom somewhere, doing who knows what. I did, at 1 or 2 points, I went to use the bathroom that was in the back hallway. And I kind of peeked my head into the bedrooms a little bit, and I didn't really see, you know, much of anything going on. Just some people hanging out. I didn't know where Keith Rainier was. I think he was in the bedroom that had its door shut. Who knows what he was doing in there. But I think that I had a very special opportunity in all this because I got to observe these people who turned out to be some high-powered political movers and shakers. In 2007, who knows who they were? There wasn't really any kind of information on them. There wasn't the scandals that Anthony Weiner was getting into yet. And Uma, I mean, I didn't know her from anything. I didn't even realize that she had anything to do with Hillary Clinton or being her main assistant. It just seemed like a bunch of randoms. And so I think the special part about this was I got to witness an accused sex cult working in unison with politicians. These people were working together, and it was a special opportunity to observe. I really wish I had remembered this stuff beforehand, but it is what it is, you know. So we're gearing up to leave. I'm walking around the room, just kind of shaking hands, saying, "Hey, you know, it was good to meet you." We're taking off. Anthony Weiner pipes up and he goes, he looks over at Uma real quick. He says, "Hey, Uma, did we get the names of all the people who have been here? We started a list of names of the people who are here." And so she grabs a clipboard with a lined paper that's already set up, and she goes around the room, starting with us, because we wanted to leave. We wanted to get the hell out of there. We just had enough. It was kind of boring, really. So Huma, she starts with me. I give her my student ID. She takes down my name, and that's pretty much, the student ID was it just had the name, and I think it just had the year that you were attending the school. The IDs for Southern Connecticut State University, they were called Hoot Loot cards, and they had owls on them, which I thought was kind of peculiar, but very unconnected, I'm sure. Who knows? Maybe it is connected. You never know. They took down our information, and we jumped in the car, and then we went back to Southern Connecticut State University. I was living in a dorm room there up at North. On the way back, we were trashing on that party pretty good, because it was just a weird experience. It really was. The friend of my girlfriend, she seemed a little bit down, because she was kind of excited for it to be this women's empowerment movement, and after the whole thing, she had decided that it wasn't anything like that. I think I even said that it seemed just like a sorority or like a cult or something like that. And I assume that she did not join up with them, but then again, I haven't been in touch with her, so I don't know. I know that my girlfriend at the time, she did not join up with that group. She was not down with them. And when we were back at the dorm, we had a couple of beers and reminisced about Stormy Daniels, the special guests. Who the fuck is she? We don't know. But it was their special guest, Stormy Daniels. This party was 11 years ago. It's just completely wiped from my mind until Smallville had just re-sparked all of this stuff, and I really had an oh shit moment where I had to think back and remember this whole event, which wasn't very hard to do, although remembering it, I almost felt like the memories came back as though a spell was being lifted off of me. It was a very organic but very strange process that went down, remembering all these events that happened. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have for you. I've come out with this story. I've written it down in a statement. Of course, people don't really read anymore, so people aren't really receptive, and the people who have read it, I've received a lot of pushback. I've reached out to the New York DOJ. I've gotten no responses from them. I've talked to the Department of Justice in the United States. I've contacted even Jeff Sessions' email address, both on his Twitter account and his government email. No responses from that guy either. And I've tried to contact the president. I've tried to contact Newswatch. I've tried to contact every sort of media outlet that you can imagine. Even on down to ABC and CNN and Fox. No takers. Nobody seems interested in what I have to say. I've reached out to the truther community, the citizen journalists. All I've found from that is that there's a bunch of gatekeepers there as well. Those people, they do not want to hear my story because I don't fit a certain narrative that they're looking for. Now, I've come forward with this story in my own private name. Why would I want to smear my name with a bunch of lies that could be found out if this story wasn't really true? Now, I wrote down this statement. Like I said, now I've made this video because people are a lot more receptive to watching a video than just reading a statement. It seems like people can identify better when they actually see a face and hear a voice. I'm not any kind of MK Ultra. I'm not a PSYOP. I'm not a LARP. I don't work for any government agencies. I'm a private citizen. I'm coming forward with this, and I've said this many times. I'm willing to take a lie detector test, and I'm willing to do any kind of AMAs if anyone wants to send any questions to me, try to stump me or anything like that. So far it hasn't happened, and I've been through many AMAs on Reddit and on a couple of different websites, YouTube. When I first started this whole statement, writing down this statement, this deposition, I posted it on different sites of Reddit. I posted it on the Donald. I posted it on the Congress. I immediately was muted on Reddit. I was eventually banned from the sites. I've received a lot of pushback. My computer's been hacked. My phone gets all kinds of crazy messages with penis enlargement pills and all kinds of other stupid things that, you know, these little kid pranks basically that are being played on me, which is fine. You know, let them have it. I don't care. But I feel the pushback, especially from a lot of these news sites, anyone that I try to contact. This pushback means that I'm probably right over the target. And I'm saying some things that there's some probably high-powered politicians don't want anyone to know about because they were working with a sex cult that was dealing in human trafficking and the trafficking of children. Now, I feel like I really can't go any further with this until I get a spotlight on this. But I would like to thank all of you who have sat around and listened to what I have to say. I do feel like it's important that y'all know about this stuff and y'all know about the experience that I had. My contact information is pretty easy to get. If anyone would like to contact me, I have a Twitter account that's pretty easy to access. That's Ben Szemkus on Twitter. And then I have a Reddit account. The Reddit account is Deline Sion, a spoonerism of Celine Dion. So it's DELENECION. That's Reddit. I have a YouTube account. The YouTube account is Ben Szemkus at YouTube. If anyone would like to contact me, feel free to. If anyone has any questions about what's going on, like I said, I've done some AMAs before. I've answered a lot of questions. I'm probably going to get a lot of repeat questions about what's going on. Down in the comments, I'm going to put one of the original statements that I had written on GitHub. Pardon the format. It's not friendly for anyone's smartphones. It's just going to be pretty much a wall of words. But on a PC or on a screen or something like that, on a desktop, it's going to look a lot easier to read. I've tried to document as much as I can all of the bannings from Reddit and all of that. I've documented all of my conversations with the different truthers that I've tried to reach out to, the ones that have responded, and the ones that I've eventually called out, because I think these people are gatekeepers. I think that they're shills. And if for nothing else, maybe they don't believe me, but there's no reason that they can't present my story and say, hey, You know, I don't know if I believe this guy, but what do you guys think? I mean, it's a very easy rollout that they could do. But no, none of these people have even tried or attempted to contact me beyond just writing me an email message or something like that. These people are not to be trusted. You know, you can listen to what they say and maybe they have some good points and things to say, but be careful, because there's a lot of shills out there and there's some definite deep state going on all around us. So, that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I don't really have any more to say about this issue. Like I said, contact me. I'm a very approachable guy. I'll answer your questions. I'm a nice, courteous guy. If I get dickhead questions, I'm gonna give dickhead answers. Just be wary of that. But overall, I'm here to spotlight these NXIVM people, to spotlight these high-powered politicians that work with them, and just to provide some information, just to provide any kind of feedback that I can. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your time, and I want to thank the different supporters of people that I've had online, the different people that are out there that have encouraged me, that have given me support, and have told me to keep up the fight, and to keep up the word, and to keep up spotlighting these people. And it is a struggle, and I want to thank you people personally, but this is going to be my best attempt at doing so. So thank you very much. And once again, y'all have a good day, and thanks for watching.